Hello, everybody. Angelika Christie here. Welcome. This is your host, Dr. Angelika Christie, your host of the show, Your Radiant Life After 45. We are talking about skills for healthy, happy, and wealthy women. I show you how to design and enjoy your most radiant life after 45 by conscious and intelligent choice. So read my bio in the show description because that way we don't lose any more time here. Okay, so let's begin. Today, I share with you the second critical step of three. Last week, we talked about the first critical step, which was clarity. Awareness is to get to clarity, but the word is clarity. The first critical step is clarity. The second critical step is courage, and that's what we are going to talk about today. Courage, okay? Now, do you not admire and are you not inspired by other people's courage? For example, if you forsake your own safety to rescue somebody else, that takes courage, right? Sometimes it's even a heroic act. And that comes from a primal instinct that kicks in. We all have that instinct. I have it and you have it too. We have that for other people. And it comes from an old system where we are responsible for each other to create safety within our tribes. And it also depends on your ancestors' history and how you were brought up. So depending on your emotional and mental makeup, you may be somebody that is easily triggered to jump in to rescue somebody else. This sure looks like courage, right? And it is courage. And it's also driven by an instinct because often there is not even a mental thought about it. It's like an automatic. Something happens, a child falls in the pool, you jump in, right? Because if that child in the pool stays in there and you don't jump in, it may be drowning. And since you're the only one around, even if you cannot swim, you will probably still jump in to rescue the child. That's not a conscious choice, right? It's an instinctive action triggered by something we often call our inner hero. All of us have this to a more or lesser degree. Because when we want to achieve something, so that's one thing. So that's our primal instinct. Then there is the other courage, and that comes in when we want to achieve something, live our highest possibility, live our dream, and even experience true happiness. Courage feels a little different then. Whether it's in your relationship or in creating and living according to your life's purpose, it is not an immediate danger situation, right? Therefore, it is much more challenging to tap into that kind of courage, right? For example, it takes courage to step out of your comfort zone and risk something new. It may be exhilarating, it may be a thrill. And in a short term, when we calculate it, it's only a thrill, it's fine. But when more is involved, that's a risk, right? And why is that called courage? Because we are actually creatures of habit. And we also have become creatures of comfort. We will naturally choose what feels safe and comfortable. Oh yes, there are some exceptions. Of course, there are some daredevils, always have been. I used to be one when I was younger, who would find comfort and safety so boring that they rather choose the thrill or even a life-threatening act in order to feel alive. But that's usually a very small group of us. There can be many reasons why somebody chooses that kind of life. It could have something to do with an internal situation. Some feel that they always have to prove something. Even though it looks very courageous, the courageous act may actually be triggered from, insecurity and the need to show up as a hero. For others, it's that when they never seem to get enough. So, what looks like courage is not actually necessarily always the courage that you believe it is. Courage is a factor that separates those who want to keep a status quo from those who dare to explore what's possible. Most people feel comfortable in what they have experienced for some considerable time and got to feel accustomed to and comfortable with. So they don't want to change anything. And, there is really no judgment with that. That's fine. But if you want to evolve, move forward, push the envelope, expand your capabilities and capacity to experience something new, you are called to find some kind of courage, the courage that is necessary to honor and live your inner, unlimited, magnificent, and naturally courageous life. Naturally courageous. Yeah, I said naturally courageous because courage lives in all of us. It lives within you. Yes, I get it. Just the last sentence may trigger some resistance in somebody because your brain brings up instances from the past that seem to prove almost the opposite. And it does it automatically and with lightning speed. Alarm bells ring in your head and you step back maybe and hesitate, and then the stress hormones rush in as well. So you stay, when that happens, then you stay what your mind tells you is safe. I think we have lost a lot of that because of the modern world with its comfort we live in now. We have shelter. I mean, we have lost that natural gravitation to courage because of our comforts, because of the way we live today. We have shelter. We don't have to hunt for food anymore, and we don't have to risk our lives to stay alive. Well, except for that horrific war zone in Ukraine now. And there are other areas in our world, always are, where people actually need to be courageous every day of their life to just stay alive. But that's not you and I, right? And we are not chased by wild and dangerous animals anymore. That's a fact, unless you live somewhere in an area where you are exposed to that. And our neighbors are not usually out to kill us, like neighboring tribes used to be long, long time ago. We have created our lives with the maximum of comfort and safety that is possible. But the downside to that, that we have created that kind of comfort, is also a bondage to that lifestyle. We amass stuff that we have the opportunity to buy. Everything is available now to us. Stuff that we don't need. And then we feel the burden to protect it, right? Then we are afraid that we may lose it. So that becomes a stressor. Do you know people who have amassed so much wealth in things, in stuff, that they are admired for their possessions? And it looks like they have arrived. It looks like they have it all. But do they really? Most become more agitated, more irritated, and unhappier. Why is that? Because they now have to protect their possessions. They take care of it all and live in the angst or the worry and the anxiety of maybe losing it all. In contrast, can you envision somebody who just lives according to his or her own talents and takes the opportunities as they present themselves? We admire that too. And I did this in Fiji, it's a very small in Mexico. The people are so poor there and they are so happy. So happy. You see it in their faces. So then there is something that's called flexibility and the will to change involved in our kind of life. That calls for courage, right? The courage to change the status quo, to change something that you have become accustomed to and therefore feel comfortable with. And creating conscious change, I believe, takes courage. You know, there are all kinds of stages and levels of courage. You um, you need courage a number of times every day, even for the one who has it all and is ready to courage. That's a larger percent of courage. He or she needs the courage to say, and I don't know if you have done this before, to clear out stuff and then not really totally giving it away yet, but just put it somewhere else in order to give it away and look at it again and be tempted to take it all back. It happened to me. But I mean, we actually go through change because of outside circumstance, right? For example, some may lose a home for all kinds of reasons. There are tornadoes, there are hurricanes, there's war, there are all kinds of reasons, you know, floods, or a divorce or death. Your life can change drastically and rapidly. So then we need those three critical steps. And the first one is clarity. And the second one is the courage to figure out what to do next, right? And it plays a little bit into the theme of realizing your choices. That is not a critical step, but is one of the 7 C's that I teach a lot in all of my courses. There are those 7 C's, and I don't want to talk about it now, but last week, the 3 critical ones are clarity, courage, and commitment. Next week, we talk about commitment. Today is about courage. So then you need to know your choices that you have. And lamenting and negativity doesn't help you. They don't help you at all. Complaining and lamenting and saying, oh my God, it's all gone, poor me. You see, whether you notice right away or usually later, a fact is that every disaster and every unfortunate situation actually carries a gift. It's that other side of the coin. One is the disaster and the other is the gift. What is the gift, you may ask? It's the opportunity to experience something new, something that was impossible or was not in awareness or actually would never have come about if that one thing that may have been very unfortunate would not have taken something away from you. So it created space for something else to come about. And if you are open, you can see this, you can see that the gift in it. I believe that you need courage to even live your life with joy and purpose. You definitely needed to be unapologetically yourself and dance to your own music. And if we have Mariah here today, then she knows all about that because she teaches movement. And I will have her, not next week, but probably the week after, to do a joint episode with me about movement and maybe dance as well. So there is so much more to say about this, but let me just leave you with 6 questions that you can ask yourself. First one, where am I in my life now? Or if I asked you this, I would say, where are you in your life right now? Big question. This, where do you need to step out of your comfort zone? The fourth, what do you want to experience? The fifth, what is actually important to you? And the sixth, where are you stuck? So write those questions down, and if you didn't get it, send me an email and I send you those questions, or message me. And again, we cannot easily free ourselves from those self-imposed prisons that we tell ourselves we want to escape, but over time, we even become more and more comfortable to live there. Yes, prison. People can feel comfortable living in prison. So that means that we need help. And we need help from somebody who is not attached to our past, our situation, our story. So very often we don't find that person necessarily within our family. Sometimes not even within our close friends, circle of friends. Why? Because usually they are too afraid for you. They are afraid that your courage can hurt you, that, better don't dare anything that could be a risk. What they want for you is to stay. What they believe is safe. So they will try to keep you from moving out of your status quo, out of fear for you, or sometimes could be their own interests. And you don't want to be stuck there, right? Who wants to be stuck there? So that's where mentors and coaches come in, because they are unbiased and see what you cannot see, our blind spots, right? I have coaches. I need somebody to see my blind spots, because they encourage you and support you so that you gain more and more courage until you can break free from what has imprisoned you and held you hostage to your status quo for so long. We women, so many of us, live our lives very often as directed by others. How we have grown into, even from our parents and from everything we experienced before we became independently living our life. Families, sometimes even whoever has influenced us from on, or influences us still right now. Often we can't even imagine what's possible. And yet, the life you came into your body to live is waiting for you. It will light you up because it's your destiny to live full out. It's your destiny to live according to who you are, dance to your own music. It's your destiny to find what you came here to do and to experience, and experience it for the fullest. And that takes courage. But that's also why you feel stirred in your heart. And it is because there are two sides of that excitement. It feels exhilarating and a little scary. It feels a little scary because it's taking you out of your comfort zone. I get that. It's the same with everybody else. You are not the only one. I feel the same way everybody does. And that's why we need community. And that's what I'm going to talk about later on. Commitment is the first, and after that comes community. That's why we need other women to be in our circle and to give us that, to stand shoulder to shoulder with us, to have our back, to give us that That's where safety is. Safety lives within us, but it also lives within a group of like-minded people, women in our how we win-win women. This is the platform for women. So this is how we bond and support each other. You know, something you want more of. You have so many opportunities on this platform to find that. You just have to make a little time. It may take a little time to seek out the groups that you feel most in alignment with, because when it comes to courage, it's tough. It takes a lot of energy to self-motivate, to find the courage within yourself all the time, even though that's the only place where you can find it and that it comes from. And yet, the support system that you can build around you makes a big difference. You understand that, right? Let me tell you, do we have time? Yeah. First story where I needed courage. I had taken my relationship for granted until I found myself almost sitting in a glass house without doors. I lived the life of trying to be the perfect mother and the perfect wife, and I did it quite well. So I should have been happy, but I was not. I felt that I was trapped in a life that was not mine. I never forgot, and I will never forget that moment. It was after dinner. How many years ago was that now? About 4 or 5 years ago. After dinner, glass of red wine with my husband, and I had gathered enough courage to tell my husband what I wanted to do for years, but always pushed away for later. I said, yeah, maybe later, not the right time. So I gathered this courage from my inner hero, my inner battle horse. And I said, sweetheart, I have decided to become a public speaker on international stages. Firstly, he looked at me with eyes that reflected surprise and then confusion. Then he stood up, and his body seemed to grow taller when he put his demeanor of a judge, a high court judge on. He asked, "What do you want, Angelika?" And he only calls me my name like this when he is really serious or offended. Then he said, what is it with you? You have everything you need. Why can't you be like the wives of my partners? He is an attorney in a large law firm. So why can't you be like the wives of my partners? They only support their husbands. My stomach started to churn. I wanted to protest out loud. I am not like any wife of your partner or anybody for that purpose. But I bit my tongue for the moment. I have flashes of memories hearing people addressing me as Mrs., my husband's first and last name. And I am not Mrs. Branford Christie. I am my name. That's who I am. So I feel my eyes tear up and my face flush, not in shame, but in mounting anger. I am free. But I feel still like, or even more, like I'm in a glass house without doors. And I see the life that I desire play outside. I sit inside. I feel trapped inside. I know I need to be free to discover who I am now. I need to find myself. I felt my heart racing as if it wanted to jump out of my chest. I never forget how I held my breath for a moment, and then when I wanted to say something, I heard him say the following words. Those words I will never forget. He said, "Be realistic, Angelika. You will never make it out there. Here, you have my protection. And at least you can be certain that you will have a comfortable death. A comfortable death. I was so stunned and horrified that I felt like almost like a tragic comical show just ended and I'm there on stage. I remember I became very still, almost like shocked, paralyzed, numb. Then I felt tears, and through my tears I felt this surge in me, like a phoenix out of the ashes. I grew powerful and enormous. It's almost as if I grew wings. Looking back, I knew that the last curtain of fear fell at that moment, permanently. That moment empowered me to take action. I shared the classification of Mrs. Brantford Christie. Yeah, first and last name of my husband. Like a snake shakes its skin, just crawls out of it. And I gave myself permission to become fully my unapologetic and magnificent self. It was a lesson for my husband. It rang in a period of many changes, and I'm glad for it, because that disaster looked like a disaster that I talked about before. The other side of it turned into the gift. Today, we are still a couple and love and respect each other even more. Think about where you need more courage so that you can be and do and have all that you desire. It is easier to minimize your dreams, yet you know what will happen, right? At the end of your life, what do you think you will regret the most? I let you answer that in your own mind, but I know that it will be the lost opportunities where all you need was more courage to be and to do something that you were afraid of, and therefore you never experienced. You never experienced something that could have given you so much joy and so much satisfaction. But you are alive now, right here, right now. So what are you going to do about teaching your mind more courage? I'm here to help if you want some help. You can have a chat with me. And we are getting out of time here. So I really want you, what I want you to take away today is to get inspired again that courage lives within you. It is primal within you. And you don't have to fight for your life, but fight for your dream, which is a big part of your life, right? So I enjoyed having you here with me today. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. We know that time is precious, and it somehow seems to get shorter and shorter. I don't know where it disappears. From Saturday to Saturday, I feel that it's maybe 2 or 3 days, not a full week. So I know time is precious. So thank you for spending this time with me. And if you find what I shared with you today valuable, mark your calendar for next week. Same day, same time. I can't wait to show you so much more that will give you the tools to live your most radiant life after 45. That's the theme and the title of my show. You can always contact me for any questions or comments you may have. Okay? So next week we are going to speak about commitment, because nothing happens without commitment. And I believe the week after, I hope that I have my beautiful friend join me to show and demonstrate how movement enhances your health and brings joy and excitement into your life. So be here for that next, and then the next Saturday as well. It's with my beautiful friend Mariah Kay. So bye-bye for now. And I see you here next week. Yes? Yes.